Okay, so it's no lie. The music industry is in shambles. Madonna said sayonara to a record label, Warner Music Group, signing with Live Nation, a live events company. Radiohead self-released their album, In Rainbows, online without a record label, allowing fans to pay whatever they chose. Prince chose to give away his album Planet Earth away at gigs and with the Sunday Mail, yes, for free. Skrillex offered a free download to his new album Recess via a new app, Alien Ride. Similarly, Jay-Z forced the music industry to set new rules by signing a pact with Samsung to buy 1 million copies of his album and offer it early to consumers who downloaded a special app. And you remember Thrift Shop? Well, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis topped the charts with no record label. The truth is, musicians no longer need to be signed to be successful. Artists are becoming more and more independent. But how are these artists changing the game? More importantly, how has new media helped them to alter the field of power? Before we discuss altering the field of power, let's look at the traditional field of power through political economy. In the days before the internet, artists could only have a direct relationship with fans at public performances. If they wanted to get their music out to the larger audience, they would need a recording contract. Only then could they benefit from the professional recording, marketing, media coverage and distribution that the record label could offer. A record label's exclusive relationships with mainstream media channels would in return broadcast to fans. However, what fans could access was solely in the hands of the record label. But whoa. Let's first take it all the way back to capitalism, an economic system in which trade, industry, and the means of production are largely and entirely privately owned and operated for profit. Alright, let's take it back to political economy. Political economy is essentially the progression of capitalism. Essentially, this is what political economy theory is about. It sees media as a part of the economic system of power. It's about the study of power relations such as those. Pretty much, the theory is cemented in the notion that the capitalist elite both own and control the means of production. But who are the capitalist elite? Let's just say that the whole music industry is centralized in 4 companies: Sony, Time Warner, Universal Music, and EMI. And you know what that means? With the music industry in the hands of such a small minority, this means hegemony. You know, like all music sounding the same? I mean, let's look at current trend in the music industry. It's focused on beats rather than melody. It's focused on conventions with music videos. I mean, have you realized how every song is about the female buttocks now? Yes, that's the power of the music industry. Just trying to make everything exactly the same, like they always do. So Goldin and Murdoch, and these other guys, Herman and Chomsky, describe this as a propaganda model. Those that own the media exert their influence to support their own interests. I, however, argue that critical political economy theory has not dealt in sufficient depth with the implications of new media for relations between people, technology and information. This is why we look at new media from the critical perspective of political economy, through counter-power and counter-hegemony. This is the capacity of social actors to challenge and eventually change the power relations institutionalized in society. As Herman and Chomsky argue, there is a central concern with the balance between capitalist enterprises and public intervention. New media and the internet have revolutionized the media industry on both a political and social level. Hurst and Harrison agree, stating that social media has been utilized as a contestable social space that is open to counter-hegemonic social forces. Let me go a bit more into it. There's this other guy, Castells. He kind of looks like this. His theory is grounded between communication and power relationships in the technological context, which is perfect. That's exactly what we're talking about. He puts forward that the development of interactive, horizontal networks, like the one we discussed, has induced the rise of a new form of communication, one of mass self-communication over the internet. However, this means that social media also generates a diverse range of resistance identities, which may be deemed progressive or reactionary to traditional political economy. These resistance identities are those that we mentioned at the beginning of this video. An emerging distribution paradigm is redefining the roles of traditional music retailers. Social networks have put the power of discovery into the hands of fans through YouTube, SoundCloud, peer-to-peer sharing networks, but more importantly, social media sites like Facebook and Twitter. Today, modern technology has accelerated us to the new era in the music business, transforming the way music is recorded, distributed, marketed, and listened to. Many independent artists now use the internet as their main point of contact with fans, taking away the need for labels' involvement. So with new media, the music industry looks a lot more like this. This is where the shift in power relations lies. However, we must go beyond this and apply Bourdieu's field analysis. How do artists actually achieve this autonomy? Before I do that, let's discuss Bourdieu for a bit. He actually argues that what we value isn't just about money. It's about cultural capital, social capital, and economic capital. He describes the field, a space where individuals relate to each other. Within his definition of the field, the economic fraction and the cultural fraction compete with each other. The field is structured in such a way that the economic field transforms the role, place, and power of agents within it, in return weakening cultural capital. This might be true, yes, in the traditional model of the music industry, but now I'm going to guess that you can have high cultural capital and a high economic capital just by having a high social capital. Let's have a look. I apply Bourdieu's field analysis to Joe Moore, better known as Skrillex, a music producer, DJ, and singer-songwriter. Let's have a look at the relationships between the field of power first. Let's say that this triangle is the field of power. The entertainment industry or the music industry is round about here. That which is below it has less power. That which is above it has more. Obviously, this is much more extensive, but let's just get the general gist of it. Secondly, we delve into the relations within the field. There are three main music industry groups: Sony Music, Universal Music, and Warner Music Group. AOL Time Warner is a transnational corporation that owns Warner Music Group. Warner Music Group is a parent company to the following companies: Warner Bros., Parlophone, Atlantic Records, and many more. One of them which is OWSLA, an independent record label owned by Skrillex. 47 artists assigned to this label. By being his own producer, this adds to his power. Finally, we discuss habitus. In regards to economic capital, Skrillex has a net worth of over 28 million. He is the second highest paid DJ in the world. He has a high economic capital. In regards to cultural capital, Skrillex first had low cultural capital. He was a mainstream electronic DJ. However, his new album, Recess, can be described as having high cultural capital. It has been described as a new approach, something no one has heard yet, and diverse. But how did he reach a high economic and cultural capital? Is that even possible? Let's have a look at his social capital. Social capital is immensely important. In regard to his social media presence, Skrillex has over 3.85 million followers on Twitter. So what is really symbolic about this? Having his own record label, Skrillex is able to control his own interests, releasing music for free. He doesn't have to create his own music as money can come from the road. It is cost effective. Plus, having a strong social media presence truly translates to power and economic status. With the high economic, cultural, and social capital, Skrillex truly does have power. Rather than being a slave to the corporate industry, Skrillex has autonomy. Autonomy allows artists to control their own power. This is how artists are transforming the game. So what am I trying to say here? Well, I'm actually critiquing Bourdieusian roots of field analysis because of its lack of understanding of the emerging field dynamics, which challenge the influential. He mentions very little on new media, the effect it has on field theory. Ultimately, new media facilitates high economic capital and high cultural capital. It is in this way that musicians are changing the game and new media has altered the field of power.